Manchester United are running a full clear-out, putting 5 players up for sale in one go. Who's on the chopping block, and where will they end up? Barcelona are cashing in on a key man, shipping him to the Premier League for 80 million euros. Real Madrid are circling Liverpool's most prized asset. And yet another RB Leipzig wonderkid is making his way to Arsenal. All this and much more in today's episode. Let's try to hit 300 likes on this video and we'll be back tomorrow with more transfer madness. Hit that like button and let's dive in. Arsenal have a rare chance to sign an elite defender without the usual ritual of paying well over the odds. According to Florian Plettenberg, RB Leipzig are willing to let Castello Luqueba go, not for the £70 million written into his contract, but somewhere closer to 60. That's practically a clearance sale discount. And it's precisely why the Gunners already look like the absolute favorites. Luqueba is 23, versatile, used to high-intensity football, and ready for a fresh start after 3 seasons in Germany. Arsenal are already in talks, and the rationale is straightforward. Arteta doesn't want a decorative squad option. He wants a defender who can genuinely fight for a place in the first team. The club has been searching for a player who combines quality with adaptability, and the market is doing that rare thing of actually meeting them halfway. When Leipzig soften their stance on an asset of this caliber, it's an open invitation for the European elite to come and haggle. There will be competition, and the longer Arsenal wait, the greater the chance that price tag creeps back into hostile territory. The race is on. We just have to see if Arsenal decide, once again, that the perfect moment can wait a little bit longer. Tottenham's management keep putting on masterclasses and shooting themselves in the foot. Roberto De Zerbi has officially decided he doesn't mind getting his suit dirty and climbing aboard this sinking project, one that is genuinely staring the championship in the face. Sky Sports report the Spurs dressing room is highly upbeat about this turn. No surprise there. After Igor Tudor's bleak hopelessness, even the PE teacher from the school next door would look like a tactical genius. Next to the Croat, any manager looks like a messiah, and now in walks an apostle of attacking madness. The Italian is bringing his trademark flank overloads, total rotation, and quick transitions to London. But let's look at the structure. De Zerbi sets up chaotic football that looks painfully close to Ange Postecoglou's ideas, the very same Australian the players back to the hilt. So what exactly was the point of the board flushing an entire season down the toilet, appointing Frank, suffering through Tudor, only to end up back at factory settings? Except now, there's a man on the touchline with a steeper price tag and a completely explosive temperament. Tottenham have done a full lap and ended up at the exact same point, just with an empty wallet and a lost year. How long do you reckon De Zerbi's nerves will hold in this boardroom sandpit? Real Madrid keep collecting forwards like a numismatist who has completely lost the plot. If Team Talk's latest line is right, Los Blancos' scouts have put Hugo Ekitike on their shortlist, the very same Frenchman who looked like a faulty part in PSG's machine, before getting a proper factory rebuild at Eintracht. Last summer, Liverpool bought into that reboot and paid £79 million for the striker, and that investment has paid off, which, incidentally, is more than I can say for my own investment of time and those of you watching on your tellies. Lads, I get it. The YouTube app on TV was designed by Satan. Leaving a like requires navigating 5 circles of hell, 3 somersaults with the remote, and pressing 10 buttons. Think of it as a quest. A small step for a smart TV owner, a giant leap for this video's reach. Consider it a test of your fine motor skills. Up for the challenge? Back to the numbers. Ekitike's debut year at Anfield has brought 42 appearances and 23 goal contributions, 17 goals and 6 assists. Perfectly serviceable numbers for a lad written off not long ago. Now, Madrid view him as the ideal piece for their long-term plans. The Spaniards' attack is already bursting at the seams, but the hierarchy usually settle any doubts with one simple move: buying more talent. Hugo won't need to pack his bags just yet. Real are prepared to wait until the summer of 2027. There is just one financial catch. The Frenchman's deal with the Merseysiders is locked in the safe until 2031. If Madrid really do want to trigger that move, Liverpool will simply name their price. Manchester United are launching another massive clear-out. The Ineos hierarchy dream of trimming the squad and raking in over £100 million. And Sky Sports are reporting on these grand ambitions from Old Trafford. The club currently sit third, clinging to a Champions League place, but behind the scenes, a mass cull is already in the works. 5 players have been put up for permanent sale: Ugarte, Xerxes, Onana, Højlund, and Rashford. The situation with Marcus is textbook greed from the suits. He's hit form on loan at Barcelona, and the Catalans want to keep him. There's a buy option baked into the deal at £26 million, but United have suddenly decided they can squeeze more out of other suitors. That kind of haggling rarely ends well. With Højlund, things are far more pragmatic. His loan at Napoli will convert into an obligation to buy for 38 million if the Italians qualify for the Champions League. Given where they sit in the table, United's bosses can already start counting that cash. Ugarte and Xerxes are warming the bench, waiting for any flicker of interest, whilst the club will finally shed some financial deadweight with Casemiro's and Sancho's contracts running down. The proceeds will be poured into a total midfield overhaul and strengthening the left flank. They'll put together a decent budget for the gaffer's vision. It just depends if the board can resist blowing it on yet another batch of tourists. Nico Schlotterbeck has practically signed a new contract with Borussia, and practically is very much the operative word here. According to Christian Falk, negotiations have suddenly hit a brick wall. The official line from the player is the sacking of sporting director Kell, who was leading those talks directly. The story goes that a key figure left, trust was broken, and everything needs to be reconsidered from scratch. It sounds reasonable enough, until you notice that Liverpool and Manchester United appeared on the horizon at exactly the same moment. Coincidence? Dortmund don't think so. The Merseyside angle is clear. Kounde could leave as a free agent this summer, Van Dijk isn't getting any younger, and the center-back position needs a long-term answer. Schlotterbeck fits that picture naturally. He's experienced, left-footed, and comfortable operating in a high defensive line. The debate now is whether he's ruthless enough for a title-chasing side. Meanwhile, across Manchester, United's need is noticeably weaker. The depth at Old Trafford means there's no real urgency, unless Maguire leaves when his contract expires this summer. If he goes, the entire calculation shifts. For now, Schlotterbeck is biding his time, Borussia are holding their nerve, and the contract is just sitting there on the table. And the longer it stays there, the more obvious it becomes that this was never really about Kell. Inter's right flank has suddenly turned into a clearance rack. Team Talk reports that Denzel Dumfries' agents are currently working their way through the English elite, pitching their client to anyone who'll listen. The reason is simple enough. His contract contains a release clause worth just £21 million. For a 29-year-old professional in today's market, that is an absolute steal. Inter know exactly how exposed they are, scrambling to rewrite the deal and kill off that option. But while the Italians run around in a panic, the Dutchman's representatives are already out shopping him around. The paperwork has landed on Liverpool's desk. The Reds have long admired the player, but frankly, a right-back is nowhere near their top priority. City, United, Chelsea, Tottenham, and Newcastle, however, are all firmly in the queue. On paper, it looks like the perfect chance to pick up a quality fullback for next to nothing, but you already know the catch. All the magic of that low transfer fee evaporates the moment you look at Dumfries' wage demands. His salary expectations are so enormous that they become an absolute brick wall in any negotiation. And right on cue, Saudi Arabia appears on the horizon. If the British giants refuse to wreck their wage structure, the Saudi clubs will get this deal done without a second thought. It all hinges on whether Denzel is ready to swap top-level football for a very comfortable early retirement. John Stones' time at Manchester City is heading towards a finale, and it's a quietly undramatic one. TalkSport claims the club has no intention of offering the 31-year-old defender a new contract. Everton has been mentioned as a possible destination, the very club Stones left 10 years ago. That detail says a lot about how City operate when parting ways, not with a legend, but with a liability that's become all too familiar. The irony is straightforward. A player who spent years being praised for his intelligence, technique, and ability to step into midfield isn't leaving because of a drop in quality. He's leaving because of his body. Since the start of the 2024-25 season, he has missed 54 matches across all competitions. For City, he is no longer an elite asset, but an expensive dependency on the injury report. And yet, nobody is going to erase Stones' legacy in Manchester. Nearly 300 appearances, years under Guardiola, and a rare blend of composure. But clubs of this scale rarely dwell on memories when a contract expires and the player is constantly recovering from knocks. That's precisely why the Everton option looks less like a sentimental postcard and more like a genuinely sensible move. A new stadium, a familiar environment, and a role where nobody expects him to be the finished article every single week. He just needs to decide if he's ready to accept that this next step should be simpler than the ones before. Jules Kounde is transforming from an untouchable Barcelona asset into the club's primary financial lever for the summer ahead. The Frenchman is rightly regarded as one of the most consistent defenders on the planet, equally comfortable at fullback or center half. And speaking of consistency, the numbers tell me this channel has a loyal core of viewers who watch every single video without fail, yet somehow manage to ignore the subscribe button just as reliably. Jules is versatile. You lot are not. You're either subscribed or you're just passing through. Hit subscribe and we'll build this channel's backline together. But even a contract running until 2030 is no guarantee of a quiet life in Catalonia. Mundo Deportivo states the club's hierarchy have quietly dropped the "not for sale" tag. Interest from Chelsea, Liverpool, and Manchester City is the world's worst-kept secret. Sporting director Deco admitted that City were already sniffing around last summer. They were politely turned away then, but financial reality is writing different rules now. Hansi Flick clearly trusts Kounde, picking him in 25 of 26 matches, but an empty club treasury has no interest in tactical loyalty. If the English giants table 80 million euros, Barcelona will have Jules's bags packed before the ink is dry. Laporta desperately needs a cash injection to fund a move for Julian Alvarez. In effect, Kounde is becoming the currency in the hunt for a new elite striker. The defender missed the entirety of March through a muscle injury, adding to the board's unease about his reliability. The English clubs want reinforcements. Barcelona want money. The Premier League sides just have to decide if they are truly willing to pay that kind of fee for a player who's just walked out of the treatment room.